Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today we find ourselves once again navigating a labyrinth of nightmares. I would be alarmed, but it really just, at this point, kind of seems like it's just sort of a thing that happens in the 40k universe. You really kind of get used to it after a while. We are, however, starting off on a slight bright spot with a quick level up. A very quick level up, since we are apparently currently solo. And the fact that we are solo will, in fact, color our choices here. Since, of course, having no allies around means that we cannot count on other people to cover skills for us. So, to that extent, we're finally going to grab Disarray with our 1 talent slot, which adds a slow component to our attacks. It's one I've passed over before because we have a next slot item that basically does the same thing. However, finally taking that talent means that we can now swap out that item, and given our current circumstances, I think it's finally time to put Theodora to good use. Though, long term, of course, I'm sure we'll find much better next slot items to swap in. Just gotta survive long enough to get there. Or at least long enough to find our Lady Navigator. That said, let's navigate this mess. Which I would take much more seriously if I thought for even a second that any of it was actually real.
Lord Captain, we have received an astropathic message from Dargonis. Achilles Scalander reports a Xenos raid against a merchant ship in the Gartra Falls Calamity.
Gartra Falls Calamity?
A new message from Master Scalander, Lord Captain. Achilles' aides have reported that the Xenos leader will be heading an attack on the paradise world Grantis.
See, Grantis I remember. Gartra Falls Calamity, though, that sounds new. Though regardless, the fact that we're even being confronted by those memories makes it clear that the brain bug just exposed our informant. I imagine everything we encounter in here is stuff that Mara's Eye will now know.
We have identified the breed of Xenos that pose this threat. The Eldari, humanity's ancient and insidious foes. I focused all my attention on investigating the attacks across your protectorate. I suspected that there was something bigger behind the Xenos attacks, but
these aren't exact quotes. I wonder if that's deliberate or just like an editorial oversight.
How is it that you were the only soul who managed to escape the trap on Rykad Minoris? How much truth is there to the rumors that the heretic Conrad Voigtveer is spreading about you?
Okay, see, that one's pretty accurate.
I am going to ignore any minor liberties that you, esteemed rogue trader, may have afforded yourself.
Okay, so based on the quotes we're being confronted with here, it does feel pretty obvious that Mara's Eye is trying to figure out what the Inquisition knows about the Cabals.
I always have a backup plan.
Do my eyes deceive me? Explain yourself, Elentak. Why is there a shard of Crutorok in your chamber?
Is that what that was? I mean, that is clearly not what she said. Though it does perhaps help explain why she betrayed us. In our actual conversation, she very specifically avoided ever saying what it was. She just shut the conversation down and left.
Let us not dawdle.
So yeah, we're being confronted with memories of things that only kind of sort of happened.
You are accused of consorting with Xenos, betraying the Imperium, and neglecting the interests of humankind.
Okay.
Pulsating strands stretch from under Cassia's headpiece, one wrapping around her neck, while the others drain her lifeblood through her weeping eye sockets and mouth. And here's our dead allies. Which one's this? Every exposed area of Argenta's skin is mottled with an intricate pattern of scarlet blisters, crimson indentations, and charred tissue. A passing ray of light reflects off the countless tiny blades that look like they sprouted from inside Adira's body. All of the Cold Trader's bones were broken. Her augmented arm was ripped from its socket, and the bones of every finger on the remaining hand are twisted and sticking out at strange angles. Pascal's augmentics were separated but not extracted from his body. The places where they connect to the organic tissue teem with predatory millipedes, feasting on the coagulating blood and accumulated pus. Abelard Wersurian's limbs were amputated and then sewn back onto his body with remarkable skill and precision, using human tendons. What, no kibbles? Really? Bit of a shame that, but I mean, what could they really do to her that's worse than what she already does to herself? Hey, Heinrichs, what's up, bud?
The tribunal is waiting for your explanations. Come closer.
Also, Theodora. Interesting. And who is that? Calcazar on the throne? And here comes our principal witness, the rogue traitor himself. Heinrichs gives you a cold look. If the presented evidence is not enough to convince you, his testimony will conclude this confusing case, full of oath-breaking, lies, and heresy. You drag this boy into this trial and now expect someone will lend an ear to a lowly heretic's testimony? I thought better of you, Interrogator Van Kalox. I was so very wrong. Lady Theodora's voice sounds even harsher and angrier than you remember. The Lord Inquisitor makes a vaguely dismissive gesture. Enough. Let him speak. The sooner this business is concluded, the better. Then let us continue. Shielded by the powers of the warrant of trade granted by the Imperium, Theodora von Valancius more than once allowed herself to openly collaborate with Xenos. You have never seen such a contemptuous grimace on the interrogator's face. She plunged her entire protectorate into apostasy and heresy, including the current rogue trader, and went out of her way to prevent the Inquisition, and me personally, from maintaining order inside the Expanse. Does the rogue trader admit to fraternizing with the Xenos, serving them as a puppet, and rejecting the God Emperor's blessed light for the sake of his heretical desires and base profit? Interesting. So, this trial is not about us, but fake Heinrichs here, who did not accompany us into the trap, is clearly trying to steer our testimony. No, none of this makes sense. I was captured by Drukhari. Why would the Lord Inquisitor be here with them? And Theodora's dead. Dead, you say? But who are you talking to if I am? Get one simple truth into your empty head. Your role in these events is negligible. You shall think me the Emperor on the Golden Throne if I so choose, and think me dead if it strikes my fancy. But this is not what matters now. Just looking in your direction makes me sick. Why must I speak to the filth? The last words are obviously meant for the court, not you. Okay, so the tooltips are just straight up lying to us. That's fun. Okay, alright, gotcha. Heinrich bends over you with a crooked smile. Rogue Trader, are you all right? Or was your heretical association with Xenos so disruptive that you lost your mind? The mocking words do little to hide his irritation. The interrogator is obviously displeased with the turn the conversation is taking. The Inquisitor leans forward slightly at the sight of your anguish. For a brief moment, the boredom in his eyes is gone. It was amusing, but the joke has outstayed its welcome. Theodora shoots the interrogator a nasty look. It is painfully obvious this heretic is dancing to your tune. His word against mine? You had lost before you even unsheathed your blade, Heinrichs. You need not worry, dear Lord Captain. It was not my intention to bring up unsupported claims. Heinrichs produces a data slate and skillfully manipulates the device until he locates the necessary information. The rogue trader uncovered the crimes of the Aldari on the most important agri-world of the Von Valancius Protectorate, which feeds many Imperium colonies in the Expanse. But instead of purging the planet of the Xenos menace, he allowed the Inhumans to take refuge in the shadow of his power. They are corrupting Genusian society even as we speak. And who knows, perhaps another rebellion will not be long in coming. The rogue trader has often been accompanied by a Xenos companion, and though the warrant of trade does allow one to grant sanction to individual specimens, what is this if not a confirmation of the Von Valancius family's loyalty to the enemies of humanity? The rogue trader's ties to the Drukhari, a different subspecies of Aldari, are just as obvious. Who else could help him divine the carefully prepared plans of the Drukhari, if not other Drukhari? Valen von Valancius always ended up in the location of the next Drukhari raid, knowing for certain where they were going to strike. Okay, so this is a real tribunal, but it's a Drukhari tribunal. Marzai Heinrichs there trying to accuse whoever Theodora is standing in for. I'm going to guess the female Archon we very briefly glimpsed back on Viabo 6. I forget if we got a name for her or not. I mean, obviously there was also Tazara, but she is super dead. It's true. At least the part about Janus and the Aldari colony. And Yurliet, of course. She was my companion. The rest of it, though, none of that sounds right. Cooperation is a double-edged sword. Sometimes you use your partner, and sometimes your partner uses you. Which is what happened to the rogue trader. Lady Theodora used him to undermine the standing of the Imperium in the Expanse. Yeah. Swap Imperium for Drukhari Cabal. The tribunal remained silent, though those present cast anxious glances at your predecessor. At this point, the tribunal probably wants to know what the true intentions of the Von Valancius dynasty are. The rogue trader claims he has been waging war against the Drukhari this entire time. Except, was there really a war? Or was it another carefully staged performance? Heinrichs is looking at you closely, almost without blinking. Allow me to explain what actually happened. Valen von Valancius personally invited the Drukhari to his world, and then used their strength and resources to sow chaos in the Expanse to gain leverage over his rivals. It is very convenient to play the victim while working with those who rob your neighbors blind and terrify the worlds that pay you tribute. How much did you profit from this, rogue trader? Did you think I would not uncover your pathetic conspiracy? Well, you know what, Marzai, if you had actually discussed this with me, perhaps we could have come to some sort of agreement in vilifying your rival, but, oh gosh. But, you know, given the circumstances, I have no reason to cooperate. Though, you know, I may literally have no choice. Enough of this. If you were really Heinrichs, you'd know that I never worked with the Drukhari. Only against them. Holy crap, really? Okay, well... Man, sometimes I'm so great I even surprise myself. Rogue traitor. Heinrichs addresses you through clenched teeth. You are destroying your only chance to make yourself useful to the Inquisition, and to me personally. Do not tempt fate, and do not resist. The examination. Ooh, things are not going his way. Good, I'm glad. Hope this guy gets kicked right in the cabals. Are you really saying your war with the Drukhari was not a hoax? Then how did you and your foolish subjects know the coordinates of the enemy ships every time? How did you know their targets? Do you think your expert on all things Xenos was shrewd enough to divine the carefully devised plan of the Cabal's finest? No, only other Drukhari could do that. And even then, only a few. This means you were in collusion with them. Bull-headed stubbornness does not befit a man of your pedigree, rogue traitor. But since you have decided to deny everything, I will summon another witness. I am sure everyone will find it interesting to explore this sordid story from another angle. Urliette silently takes a graceful step forward. If the court so desires, my speech will run like a river and wash away your doubts. I found a shard of my home in the rogue trader's chambers. An entire craft world vanished among the stars. The only clue to its fate resting in the hands of this monkey. That was when I began to suspect that he had something to do with the misfortune that had befallen my Cruderach. Urliette, you're an idiot. I mean, I get it, but you are really dumb. Do not be deceived by his breed. There is a cunning predator lurking behind the fluttering of fragile butterfly wings. The monkey before you is a bizarre amalgamation of qualities not usually inherent in his feeble species. He has mastered the mysteries of many of this world's cultures, the secrets of the universe and ancient artifacts, the fine art of war, the intricacies of deceit. All are embodied in a single monkey, however hard it may be to believe. All right, you know, I've got to give that one to you. You're not wrong there. I am singularly spectacular. However, the thread that bound our paths broke the moment I realized the monkey's involvement in the disappearance of my home. To flee the rogue trader, I tracked down and eliminated his chief tracker, who has pursued our kin in this part of the galaxy for many years, and thus earned clemency before this court. Okay, wait, hold on now. No, she can't be talking about Scalander, because we literally walked past him on our way out of my palace. So this is more false testimony. So Achilles did not simply vanish. You helped him disappear. Heinrich nods curtly. I say he had only himself to blame. An agent who cannot recognize an impending threat is useless. Heinrich nods with satisfaction, noticing your reaction. Or rather, the lack of it. Yeah, because he's still alive. The court has been presented with enough evidence, and I hope no one is harboring any doubts as to the guilt of the von Valancius dynasty. But let us allow the rogue trader to say his final word. We are all curious to know what you have gleaned from this enquiry. When exactly did we have our blow-up with Yurliet? Was that before the attack on Dargonis? Because if so, then yeah, she could have exposed Skalander was our spy, which would explain why they singled him out and tortured him during the attack. But I feel like the Yurliet thing happened after. This whole thing is just a sham. I don't know what you're trying to prove, but I refuse to go along with it. My involvement with the Drukhari is simple. They hurt my people, so I killed them. You might want to remember that. You try to push the words out of your throat, but they become stuck in a suffocating lump, choking you. Heinrichs notices your struggle and quickly changes the subject. The rogue trader is obviously stunned by the realization Theodora has been using him this entire time to impede me. Enough. Ah, and much like skin, the veil peels away. After the spell is lifted, staggering pain pierces your body. Darkness clouds your vision and nausea creeps up your throat. But the wounds you manage to forget soon remind you that you are still alive. Marazai Azerish, Drakon of the Cabal of the Reaving Tempest, First Blade to Lady Euremeris, Eviscerator of Illaridos, Blaze of the Barkag Kingdom, and Slayer of Carocious the Pale. The commanding inhuman voice tears you from the vice of agony, and you see the silhouette of a Drukhari whose very presence makes your innards clench. How dare you come before the Council of Archons of the Dark City with this lesser creature? Lady Euremeris. The female Xenos is wearing armor encrusted with jewels, and stands calmly next to the speaker. Such behavior is typical of the Xenos occupying the higher tiers of the Drukhari hierarchy, which means you are facing one of the Archons. Right, so that's our stand-in for Lady Theodora. One half of the male Drukhari's face is hidden behind a golden mask with an intimidating visage. The other half is showing a malicious, sharp-toothed leer. The Xenos' elaborate armor is decorated with skulls and patches of human skin, impaled on countless blades and hooks. He carries himself with authority and ease, as though he is a ruler who holds the threads of fate, of all those present, tightly in his grasp. A triumphant grin erupts on Marazai's face, but the Xenos remains surprisingly composed, and does not dare to interrupt this unknown speaker. Yurliet absorbs every word, occasionally wincing in pain and covering her weeping wounds. Her posture and gestures are full of tension, like prey cornered by a pack of predators. Yurliet shrinks under the hungry stares of those around her. Showing signs of obvious torture, right? Coerced just as we were. With the greatest respect, mighty Nazrikai, Archon of the Cabal of the Black Heart, first among the chosen, voice of the Overlord of the Dark City, bringer of demise, conqueror of 100 worlds. Nazrikai dismisses Marazai like a bothersome fly. The Council of Archons has heard enough platitudes, Drakon Marazai, and no longer wishes to. Sly intrigue's ruthless chill to jagged ice, turns lips and tongues and breath all to trice. A vitriol verbose the cut and thrust, keep time with fate's own machinations grave, but whose deft footwork leads to naught but dust. While from its brutal finish none can save this play the puppet master granted me, through murky stalls, the path obligingly. I'm sorry, what? Oh, shoot, that's That's a Harlequin. Man, I never really learned much about them because they were cut right before I started playing. 3rd edition, back in the early 2000s.
The Puppet Master. Has Vecht himself invited you to this chamber?
The Archon chokes on his own words, but quickly regains his composure.
No matter. You may be our guest, Arabenian, but you are merely a spectator in this performance. And spectators do not belong on the stage, as you undoubtedly know. Do not interfere.
The stranger presses a delicate finger to the lips of his sorrowful mask, and says with a twinkle in his eye,
A shadow in the shadows will I be.
I have no idea what to expect from this guy. I never had any source material for Harlequins. The bright motley, the hollow suit, the mask hiding its owner's face, and the graceful, subtle movements. Before you stands a Harlequin, another representative of the multifaceted Eldari race. The Xenos catches your eye and nods. For a moment, the play of shadows on the mask appears to twist its expression into a mischievous grin. As for the name Vecht, you have heard many gruesome tales about the atrocities of the Drukhari, but the cruelest and vilest always involved Asdrubal Vecht, the Archon of the Cabal of the Black Heart, the supreme overlord of Camarog, and the most dangerous of all his dark kind. Euremerus, Nazrakai, Vecht. Shoot, what was the Harlequin's name? I'm sure it'll come up again.
Marazai Azirish, considering the circumstances.
The Archon looks around the room and rests his troubled gaze on the Xenos in bright armor, who interrupted him.
The Council finds Archon Euremerus guilty. The blade of your truth cut through the shadowy veil, concealing her transgressions. However,
a glint of cruel mockery appears in his eyes.
How dare you insult the Council with such a pathetic complaint? You should have ripped Euremerus' heart out with your own hands, and granted her soul to Vecht if you wanted to atone for the mistakes of the Reaving Tempest.
Marazai's eyes widen, filled with astonishment and disbelief. He seems to have been certain of the outcome, and did not expect what he is hearing now. His lips twist in an enraged snarl, hatred directed at the Xenos on the throne. And yet it finds no outlet under the gazes of the dozens of Drukhari in the chamber.
To contradict my decision is to contradict the decision of Vecht himself, fool.
Something in the Xenos' tone makes your heart skip a beat.
Allow me to discipline you for your weakness. Today, the Drakon will lose his wings and plunge to the very bottom of the chasm. You will go to the arena to atone for your mistakes and impertinence, alongside the rabble you have dragged to Camarog. If you are a true Drakon, you will rise again. If you do not, your suffering will satiate the worthy. Lay down your weapons and follow the guards. I will let you keep what little dignity you have left. This is my final gift to you, Marazai.
Oh no, not Marazai. Hi. What's up? The Archon nods in satisfaction and makes an unfamiliar gesture. The guards draw closer to you.
Let us return to you, Euremerus.
The Harlequin's laughter interrupts the Archon and echoes under the vaults of the chamber in a resounding baritone.
And all the masks upon their marks now stand. The slave of vanity, the spire ascends. The thief and traitor cast downward by her hand. Unbeknownst to all, their fate depends upon a lead unseen, a player green.
The Harlequin leans forward and eyes you with genuine interest. Is this how you treat the hospitality of Camarag, Arabenian? The Archon angrily balls his fist, the shadow of his wrath hanging over the Eldari interloper like a thundercloud. I thought your words were worth more. You insult me by interrupting the trial again. The Xenos sweeps into a theatrical bow without taking his eyes off Nazrakai's face. You, Archon, speak a just rebuke. In truth, Fate's melodies and snarls fantastic have entrapped me here, and when I heard them play, I could not keep my lips from grinning wide. Here comes the hour for shadows to retreat, to where the curtain waits to rise. The laugh, with no beginning, now sends forth the call. Oh my goodness, my brain is going to break, trying to parse whatever this guy is saying. Oh, good, thank you. Yes, that helps. The chasm. I'm sorry, could you repeat that? The world is an impenetrable haze of warm pain. You lie motionless. No, you rest, in the murky gloom, slowly dissolving into nothingness. Sometimes your repose is troubled by unpleasant and persistent tremors, coming from the place where your legs used to be. You do your best to ignore them. They didn't cut my legs off, did they? I'm going to be mildly upset if they dismembered me off screen. Away, you vulture! This is not your prey! A vaguely familiar voice reaches you through the curtain of darkness, but your disobedient thoughts refuse to reveal where and when you have heard it before. Was it just recently, or 100 lifetimes ago? The trembling coming from your legs is replaced with a violent jerking motion. And then it finally stops. From this phantasmagoria retreat and deftly seize my merchant vagabond, the puppet master's strings left dangling. Again rise up to take your place and dance. A spark ignites in the darkness, and its light ruthlessly cuts through the gloom that envelops you. An ugly image of the reality around you assaults your retina. You can feel your body again, and realize it is filled with pain. Your shoulder is sore from an injection. I'm gonna need some proper recap if you want me to live. Otherwise, just leave me dead. Alas, the bliss of death will save you not. The whirling waltz of chance and gloom you'll dance. Okay. A prickling sensation burns your shoulder, and the darkness at last fully withdraws from your mind. Whatever the injection was, it is making your heart beat a frenzied tattoo, and your pupils narrow so that you now register every detail of the disgusting place in which you have found yourself in merciless clarity. Oh, status check. Every single inch of your body is suffering. Satisfied with this result, you do not delve into a detailed examination of your misfortune. Yeah, that's fair. To be fair, we passed pretty much every other check so far. Not too shabby, all things considered. All your equipment is gone, as are your shoes. You do not even have a knife at hand to fend off enemies, or to open your veins. Good. I'm glad. Alright, he's getting sassy. You are surrounded by the dead. Numerous corpses, mutilated bodies, and pieces thereof. Humans, Drukhari, and other Xenos unfamiliar to you lie motionless in this gruesome mortuary. Your eyes refuse to focus on the blurry figure of the person who came to your aid. He appears to be tall, and your mind emphatically refuses to continue, for every moment of concentration causes you suffering. I know you. How do I know you? A dream obscure of death, deliverance, illuminating will, and agony. Oh, good. Well, that answers that then, thanks. Where am I? Among the shadows in the wings you lie, where taut are pulled the puppet master's strings. The stranger intricately links his fingers to mimic the tools of a puppeteer. Right. My people. Where are my people? Do they yet live? Not here. The roles have been decided now. But if you play your part, perhaps, the plot will draw you back together. Or to doom. The figure's cruel laughter follows. Cool. This overture in verse, the final lines. The merchant's time to tread the boards has come. Embark you now upon your pilgrimage, and take my parting gift, a humble prop. The stranger deposits something in your hand, and disappears into the twilight. Gift from beyond the grave. Oh, a stub gun. Cool. You know, I always was kind of partial to stub revolvers back in Necromunda. Definitely not the most efficient weapons, but they just had style, you know? And it's not much, but at least we've got something. Though the sooner we get our proper gear back, the better. Your body has suffered too much to obey your mind. Or rather, that is how it would have been for someone else, perhaps. But not for you. You have lived through worse. Anguish and torture could never break you now. You will rise to your feet and press on. All that is left is to understand why you should. Get up, Valen. You can die on your own time. People are counting on you. Hundreds of faces flash before your mind's eye. Friends, subjects, and companions. The universe is cruel and full of darkness, and your will and determination are the only barrier between your loved ones and its crushing apathy and brutality. You have no right to die, not here, and not now. Resoluteness floods your veins like incandescent plasma, and you make another attempt to get up. Power of honor. Plus 10 toughness, hey, we'll take it. That is our weak spot. You get up. Yes, your body aches and rebels against you, but your tempered mind is stronger than mortal flesh. You draw yourself up straight and take in your surroundings. Ooh, well. Oh gosh, what is, 100 wounds. Your body is mangled by cruel torture. You are on the verge of death. Deformed bones. Okay. Darkened eye. Hamstrung. Agony of flaying. Crippled arm. Great. Cool. Oh, gosh. Well, at least we've still got our honor. Honor! And yeah, sadly we have lost all of our gear, at least temporarily. Though we do still have a bunch of ship parts, so you know, if we find a ship in here, I think we're in pretty good shape. My goodness. Look at this nightmare. Though, we do still have our brilliant mind, so, you know, we've got that going for us, too. Which actually leaves us in kind of halfway decent shape, at least skill-wise. Not great, obviously. I mean, nothing's great right now, but still, it could definitely be way, way worse if we were a more physical character. The corpses smile at you with warmth and whisper quietly, "It is over for you. Join us." That is a very gracious offer, and I may take you up on it, but,
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
Scratch that. What he said. Okay, well, you know what? This feels like a good place to call it. We were literally just put through a ringer, it would seem, so I'm going to take a moment to collect myself, perhaps review some of the many things that transpired around and to us, and we will pick up here next time as we perhaps try to not die. You know what? That sounds like a good place to start. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. If you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
Come closer. The tribunal is waiting for your explanations.